On behalf of the Methodist Church in Fiji and Rotuma, on behalf of the Honorable Prime Minister and ministers, may I call upon, on behalf of the Vanua, Buna, Burmasanga, and the Tobat. I stand here today to acknowledge and to say to you our gratitude, our acceptance of your apology. The Grimitiers and the sons here in Fiji and those who are overseas. We accept from within deepest soul and heart and set you free in the name of God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
I believe you were in Fiji recently on the apology and reconciliation service on Sunday. To you personally, what was the moment like?
First of all, I was so lucky to be there, to be at this historic occasion. It was a privilege and an honor for me to be there. And, I found it to be such a solemn occasion, and basically the gesture shown by the Itoke community, the Methodist Church, Rambuka himself, Sitiwini Rambuka, the Prime Minister, and other members of the community there, showed the genuineness of where we should go, where we should take Fiji. And I think everybody now have realized that that is the only way to go. There is no other way.
I was watching a few videos. I was watching yours. I was watching Mr. Chaudhry's and Mr. Biman Prasad. And a line that I picked out of the Prime Minister, Mr. Rambuka, is that he said, I think at the start, he's not confessing because of the government or because of the Vanua that he hails from, but he's doing it because of himself. And to someone like you, you know Mr. Rambuka personally, and you know the repercussion of the 1987 coup firsthand.
I'm not making this confession as Prime Minister of Fiji. As I do not hold the government accountable for my actions of 1987. I do not claim to be making this confession on behalf of the Vanua Navatu. I'm not Tui Navatu. I'm just a member of Ebusa Navatu, Vanua Navatu of the Konrabe. But I make this confession on my own behalf and on behalf of all those that took part with me in the military coup of the 14th of May, 1987. We confess our wrongdoings. We confess that we have hurt so many of our people in Fiji, particularly those of the Indo-Fijian community of the time, and among them, sons and daughters, grandsons and granddaughters of those that were indentured or indented as laborers from India between 1879 and 1916. We confess that we have wronged you. We confess that many eventually left our shores. Those of you that remain and slog on with us and have brought some restoration in our relationships over the past few years, I thank you.
Rambuka started, that he is taking the whole issue as personal. He doesn't want to blame anybody. not the government, not the present government, not the past government, not the Ethiopian community. He takes responsibility, which is a very, very, big thing for any human being to do it, to say that, look here, I and only I is responsible for this situation, and I want to take total blame, and I need your forgiveness. So, of course, we have gone through, everybody has gone through the, problem, and the repercussions of it, including Rambuka himself. He has gone through the same as well.
Yes.
Maybe a little bit less than us, but he now realizes that his actions did lead to so many people going through very difficult times, and he's now actually realized it, and he himself and the family now realizes probably that we need to forget the past, forgive and forget, and let's move on.
It is a measure of your sincerity, sir, that you personally came to my office to invite me to be a part of today's reconciliation service and to receive your apology and the apology of the Church. I thank you most sincerely for your kind gesture. On behalf of the Girmetias and the Fiji Labour Party, I accept the apology.
I believe you told me earlier because you were leaving on the same day, on Sunday, or you were supposed to leave on Sunday, and then when you were initially approached, you were a bit reluctant. But then at the end, you changed your mind because you were told that the Methodist president probably really wants you there. What does that feel like?
Well, naturally, you tell me, man, if you get invited by somebody who's organizing this and you say no, it's just not insulting him, but the whole Methodist Church, okay? And, I thought that, no matter what, I had some important engagements on Monday here in New Zealand, but I said, I think this was much more important. This was important than anything else in the world for me, for a church to invite somebody to, attend a solemn function like what we had on that day. And, there was nothing in the world that could have stopped me from going there, and that's why I agreed to attend the function.
The whole event that day, the prayers, the songs, the people there, I believe you were sharing that you were watching the Methodist Church in Fiji president, and he was literally, he was in tears.
He was just not in tears when he spoke. Let me tell you, I was sitting right behind him. And, I saw him, when somebody else was speaking, when Mr. Chaudhry was speaking, when Mr. Professor Biman Prasad was speaking, he basically was just wiping tears. I was right behind him, 2 seats, just next to him in the back seat there. And I could see him just, in tears. So, what does it tell, about a person who had organized it and then he mentioned in his speech that he wanted to do this 10 years ago.
Yes.
And, I do not know why, the government then did not see this important, issue. I do not know whether they still wanted the same rancor and the, division to be carried on for their own political purposes. Here was a prime minister who basically took it on himself, and the president took it on himself, that even if I lose part of my Ethiopian crowd, I would still want to do it. And the president, he moved me, and I almost, felt like crying. I got very emotional when I was speaking, actually, because of his gesture.
We can't help but notice that after your speech, on your way down, there was just a brief meet with Mr. Rambuka. But to you, what does that mean as a person who's there instrumental in the starting of the new journey for Fiji? It's almost like witnessing the signing of the deed of cession, though no one was there, and of course 1970, but you were there at the beginning of the start of a new journey for Fiji, after probably more than 15 years of very hard and turbulent times in Fiji.
Well, I first of all thought, that I will never probably get this opportunity to ever forgive somebody, because my religion, to be honest, Islam teaches that you need to, when you meet somebody and if you want to really forgive, in Islam, if you do not forgive a person, then that person doesn't get any peace when he passes away. And I thought that I really wanted to give that peace to Rambuka, no matter what it was. And I think he did the same to, wanted to be very peaceful, because, he has gone through these turbulent times. And, the only thing that came to my mind was, to go and meet him and, tell him that I'm genuine about my, from my side, as he was, I can see, and I was able to see that he was pretty genuine about it. So it was a reciprocal gesture that, I had to reciprocate.
Mr. Bhamji, the events of 1987 are very vague to some people, in particular the younger generation is living now. Most of them have just gone through 2000 and 2006, and then when people mention 1987, there's very few people who really know what really happened on that day. Can you vividly recall what happened that day?
Yeah, I was an NFP nominee on that NFP FLP coalition government, and I was the Minister for Communication, Transport and Works in Dr. Bhavandra's government. That was one of the biggest ministries at that time. 3 ministries at once, and I was only 37 years old. I was the baby of the cabinet. All right, and I was also the sitting mayor at that time. When I fought the elections, I was still the mayor of Ba.
Youngest mayor, I believe.
Well, yeah, I became youngest mayor in 1982, at 32. But in 87, I was again the mayor, basically. And I remember, basically vividly, I saw Rambuka walking into the parliament. I saw him, when he came in and he sat down there, and what actually transpired, he walked away, when the speech was about time for a break, he opened the gate. There was a small gate there, where the, people were sitting down. He opened the gate and he walked. Before he walked, we had this, 10 or 12 balaclava guys coming in and saying that this is popping up the guns, I think it was a semi-automatic or automatic, guns. And Rambuka walking, getting up and going up to the speaker, who was Bilutari Lawangila. He was the speaker. And I understand he was his, uncle as well.
He was his uncle.
Yes. And he said that this is an army takeover. All right? I very vividly remember. And he asked the opposition members, he said that the opposition members, please, if you can, take the door and go that side. And he then, the guys who were in the balaclavas, ordered us that they should follow them. They actually herded us, out of the parliament. And the trucks were waiting there, and we were all loaded into the trucks and taken to the army barracks. And we were put into a 8x8, 2 in each 8x8 cells out there that day till the afternoon. This happened at about 10 o'clock. And it was, and that was a month of fasting. And, myself, my colleagues, Noordin, Fiza Muhammad, we were fasting. So, it wasn't anything, the other brothers, all the other colleagues went and had, lunch. Nobody had lunch, to be honest about it. How could somebody eat when you are under arrest and, you are a hostage? Nobody had anything. They offered. And then in the afternoon, they again offered to us. We just had just a glass of water, and that was it. And basically nobody ate that day, let me tell you this. And then in the evening, then they transferred us to where the Prime Minister's house was in Bhutan, where Mr. Bhavandra had shifted in. Mr. Rathumara was, late Rathumara was there, so Bhavandra moved in there. And we were there, kept there for 3 nights.
3 nights?
Yes. And then, the army guys came over to actually take away Mr. Harish Sharma and Krishna Dutt so that they could, put in a tender their resignation, so they don't have to finish up they said that the government is not there, rule out the government to say that they have resigned and that's why this army has taken over. And they refused, when there was we all got together and tried to avoid that they take away. And then that night we slept, but the next morning, about 5:30 in the morning, the army trucks came in and took all the Indo-Fijians to Boron House. And the Itoke brothers in here, they wanted to separate us so that, divide it then. These people tried to divide it actually, right? In the Fijians and this thing. At that time, that was their thing. So I've been through all those things, and after that too, when we were released after 3 days in Boron House, at Boron House, we came to know later on that they wanted to take us out to, so an island called Makongai, and there was some talk about throwing us in the sea as well. These were all the rumors that were going around, and this is what we were told, that maybe they would have done this to you guys. There were quite a few guys who had led the protest a week or two before the coup. Immediately after we came into power, they were doing these things. So these are the people who had really, actually instigated the whole thing on a racial basis straight away, immediately after we came into power. So race was an issue. Immediately after that, and it's a month of about July, end of July, August, the coalition government, we were still meeting, quietly. We could not meet publicly and all, but we had meetings here, there, and everywhere, and so myself and Dr. Bamba, we were selected to attend to go overseas and garner support for us to be reinstated. So we went to quite a few countries. We went as far as Zimbabwe, Kenya, and Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania, and Zimbabwe. Met the people out there, because there was supposed to be a Commonwealth conference in Canada in October of that year. So we went there. We went to Papua New Guinea. We went to Australia. We went to Malaysia. We went to India to garner support to move these people, the Commonwealth countries, to move at the Commonwealth conference for us, to be reinstated. If we are not reinstated, then this kind of this government, Fiji should be suspended from the Commonwealth. So this is what we took us about over 2 months. We were away. The night of that October 11th, that was October 11th in Vancouver, when this meeting conference was held, and we had at that meeting, we met Margaret Thatcher, Bob Hawke, David Longi, Rajiv Gandhi. These are the people who were there at that conference. And at that conference, I wouldn't want to say, who actually opposed it, because but there were countries who had really put forward this proposal and I would want to say that at that time, David Longi was very, very supportive of that we should be reinstated, and the move was made by no other than Mr. Mugabe, seconded by Mr. Kaunda, to get this government reinstated. But for some reason or the other, naturally, Margaret Thatcher was a bit, let me mention this, Bob Hawke was there as well, and he did support. But, reinstatement for some reason did not happen at that conference, and Fiji got suspended on the night of the 11th of October, 1987.
Now, after all these years, after hearing all these narrative from you, I just filled with challenges, hurt, been challenged at the peak of your career, becoming a government minister at that time at a very young age. And now when you travel back to Fiji last week and you witnessed this solemn occasion and been part of it and been privileged to be able to sign that document, that declaration with the few people who signed it, having seen Fiji then, having known Fiji then, when you went through all these things like more than 30 years ago, and the Fiji that you saw last week, why is it very important to forgive?
I want to believe that strongly, to be honest about it. All right, whether I've seen it or not, it doesn't matter. I really want to believe it that what happens, and and I related that day's event to October 11th, 1987. That here I was, asking myself and Dr. Tupeni Bamba, representing the coalition government. Nobody knows about this. Very few people, knows even in Fiji at that time that we were there on that particular day to do it. And we had a good group, in Vancouver who supported us. And everywhere we went, there was groups who supported us to meet the people. We met Mahathir in Malaysia as well. And, there were some of them supported, some of them didn't support. They said no, that's fine. So we got an answer that they will not support our motion. We had people like Papua New Guinea, Somalia was there. He didn't want to support. So we know. I can tell you today. Now I can openly because after what has happened last week, now I can talk. For the last 36 years, I haven't spoken. Neither has Dr. Tupeni Bamba spoken about what transpired then. But despite all this, I think, these were things that happened. Of course, a lot of things happen. Despite this, I felt on Sunday that no, I will not do justice to myself. I will not do justice to Fiji. I would not do justice to the community in Fiji, Indo-Fijians, and Itoke, to carry this along. Time for us, even after all these things, I think it is only proper that, it is just, believe in your faith. If I have a strong, Muslim, this is my, this is something that I need to do to get myself to peace as well. And that's exactly what I think. Now today I've opened up a lot, because nobody knows that this is what happened in Vancouver and this is where we were, right? And how the whole thing, how we went through all these countries, people might think about it, but we had people out there who were genuine, who really wanted to help us out. And then people knew that, a wrong has been done. They wanted to see whether we could get it done, this thing. So things like that did happen. Went through some very hard times. But, I think it's time now that let's move on.
Prime Minister Rambuka, I also accept your apology, be it that it was in a personal capacity that you apologize. I accept the apology of Tranga Vonivalu to Ikamba, Marama Rokoto Indraketi, and the Tuidakau. Thank you very much for your magnanimity. I think the spirit is there now. We can all work together. It's a great day for the nation. A day worth celebrating. It will go down well in the annals of our history. Let's build on it. May God bless Fiji.
Mr. Bhamji, just a last message to the Itoke community out there in Fiji and here in New Zealand, and also to the Indo-Fijians back in Fiji and here in New Zealand, for everyone, but before we move on for the next phase of the new Fiji government.
Well, first of all, I want to thank the Itoke community, to be honest, that they have taken this stand and they have taken, these gesture. They've forwarded their this invitation that let us, we are here. We want you to understand that you are part of us, and thank you very much everybody who was there, and basically the the wider Ethiopian community, to our, Indo-Fijians, whatever rancor you have, please, if we, people who were part of that day's events in 1987, are prepared to, forgive and forget and move on, because we have all suffered together, right? No matter where we are in this world. I think the only way forward is, to move forward. And please, I actually make a plea to the community that please let us reciprocate, let us show them that we also want to be part of you, and we also want to give you the same love and affection that you are giving it to us. And basically, that's something that I just, really want to put it to our Indo-Fijian community.